Hey everybody. So, here we are again. This is another episode of the Bearded Bible Thinker X-Files. This is the short podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it, in which I jump through my Twitter bookmarks. And it's called the X-Files because X bookmarks sounded stupid. All right. But here's the deal. Today, I'm going to make some people mad. I guess that's probably true every time at some level. But today we're going to be dealing with a tweet, a post. It's a post. Here we go. That has to do with the Pope. Yeah, that's right. It's a Pope post. Okay. So Josh Buice, who is the Josh Buice, who is the, I don't know if it's president or what the title is. I forget. He's the founder. I know that. Founder and president, I think, of G3 Ministries. So cards on the table, our church is associated with the G3 network of churches. So anyway, Josh Buice, he posted this a few days ago, and he said the Pope is one of many antichrists who have gone out into the world. And this is an allusion to 1 John 4:3. My gosh, why would he say that, right? Well, one, because that's what Protestantism is. The Pope is this Pope, arguably more obviously than many in a recent history, is not even a Christian. If Pope Francis dies, I'm very confident that he would be in hell, not purgatory, because firstly, purgatory is made up. That's like Narnia. But here we go. Why would he say this? What is he quoting? Well, here we go. It's part of a very short 60 minutes clip. And we're going to listen to this. It's 47 seconds. So we're going to work our way through this little clip here and find out why Josh Buice would be so mean as to talk about the Pope like that. All right, here we go.
When you look at the world, what gives you hope?
Todo.
Okay, stop. What should the answer be? What should the answer be? Any Christian worth anything, any Christian that's this old as a Christian, any Christian that has faith that is deeper than a mud puddle outside, understands that the correct answer to this is Christ. The correct answer, the only correct answer to this question is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's it. That's the answer. Especially in this context, you have someone from a secular organization asking you a question from a secular perspective. This is very classic preach the gospel time right now, okay? Jesus Christ is the only hope for anyone in our world. That's it. When you look at the sin in the world around you, when you look at the despicable things that are going on every side of every government, when you look at the atrocities of the war between Russia and Ukraine, or the things going on between Israel and Hamas and other things, and all of the ugly and the wars that we don't pay attention to that are still just as crazy and difficult and ugly. When you look at the fabric of our own nation unraveling in front of us and being sort of in a post-Christian time, my gosh, what gives you hope in all of that? Well, Christ, right? Because he has ascended to the right hand of the Father. He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He will come back someday and set all things right, make all things new completely once his enemies are put under his feet. And so my hope is not subject to this world and the things that are going on in it. It isn't founded in this world and the things that are going on in it. It cowers not to this world and the things that are going on in it. And so no matter how bad or how ugly life gets in this world, in my little section of this world even, I am able to live with the hope that Christ brings. And so the point right from the get-go is that the correct answer to this is very obviously the gospel of Christ. Now, however he would want to bring that up or talk about that, that's the right answer. That's the right answer. You, depending on the context, if this was a religious person or a Christian, especially asking another Christian this, even then, I'm probably going to preface. There we go. Yeah, English language. Even then, I'm probably going to preface that answer with, well, Christ. At the end of the day, he's the only thing that gives us hope. However, right? And you could list some things that you see that are helpful or that are encouraging amidst the crazy things. But the right answer, nevertheless, no matter what, at the end of the day, is Christ. That's it. And especially if I'm talking to an unbeliever or a secular organization with a secular audience, the gospel's got to be the answer. Do you think that the leader of the Roman Catholic Church went there? Well, no, he doesn't go there, and partly because he doesn't understand the gospel, the gospel as it's presented in the scriptures. But here's what he says.
Everything. You see tragedies, but you also see so many beautiful things.
So he's not, like, this isn't totally off base quite yet, because even though he's skipped the gospel, this could be a solid lead-in to the gospel, right? I mean, you could end with the gospel here. You could get there, right? You see so many tragedies, but you see good things. You see beautiful things as well. And that's true, right? Despite the situation that our nation is kind of in right now, there are a lot of great things. I could point to a lot of great things even in our own church that are happening in the lives of people as they're growing. Like, there's a lot of things that are encouraging. So he's not necessarily wrong here, but let's listen to where he goes.
You see heroic mothers, heroic men who have hopes and dreams, women who look to the future.
So far, not even one thing that's even remotely Christian in this answer.
That gives me a lot of hope. People want to live, people forge ahead, and people are fundamentally good.
Now that's a problem, isn't it? So, first of all, everything up until that point, people want to live. That's always been true. People want to forge ahead. I don't know what that means, but that sounds like something that's always, we wouldn't have any progress or inventions or any of the things that any kind of growth at all if people didn't want to forge ahead. These things aren't necessarily wrong, that he's said, but they're also not distinctly Christian in any way. He's not offering any sort of Christian answer, which you would expect from an heir to this imaginary throne of Peter, right? But then he says, I'm going to go back just a second. Then he says this.
And people are fundamentally good.
And people are fundamentally good. Okay, anyone that knows the Bible understands that this is not true. There's not an argument that can be made for it. Let's listen further.
We are all fundamentally good.
So people are fundamentally good. The secular person shakes her head in agreement. He says we are all fundamentally good, to include every human, period, no matter who they are. I mean, you fill in the blank, right? Let's keep listening.
Yes, there are some rogues and sinners. But
Yes, there are some rogues and sinners. So that can be confusing, first of all. We are all fundamentally good. Yes, there are some rogues and sinners. So are those not fundamentally good? I'm confused about that. But the Bible very clearly teaches that no one is fundamentally good. After the fall, no one is fundamentally good. So because of that, we can go all the way back to Adam and Eve and say no one that has ever existed in human skin apart from Jesus Christ himself has been fundamentally good. And then he says, yes, there are some rogues and sinners, which actually is a description of every human being that has ever existed, again, apart from Jesus Christ, including Mary.
the heart itself is good.
The heart itself is good, even though the scriptures make very clear that that is not true. Before the flood, God said that every intention of man's heart is only evil continually. Okay? Oh, so we figure, well, that's why he does the flood. Okay, we get it. Now set things straight, start over again. Well, right after the flood, he says it again in a different words, that man is evil from his youth. Jesus says that out of the abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks. And Paul makes very clear in Romans chapter 3. Look up Romans chapter 3 as Paul quotes from the Old Testament to make a concrete, irrefutable case that none is good, not even one. No one seeks for God. And he goes on and on and on and on and on. And the entire point of that passage of Scripture is to tell people without any ambiguity, without any camouflage or tricky language, he's making it very plain that man is evil. Man is evil. The reason that we even know this practically, I don't understand how a person can even think this unless they're just completely blind. Because you don't have to teach a child to be bad. They're just bad. You have to teach them to share. You have to, if you've ever had kids, you have to teach them to do the things that they're supposed to do because they won't otherwise. You have to teach them to share. You have to teach them to respect their elders. You have to teach them to obey. You have to teach them what's the first word out of so many mouths as babies. No, mine. Stuff like that. This is fundamentally important because without original sin, without the idea that we are born sinners, David said, "In sin did my mother conceive me." He was a sinner from conception because of Adam. And Jeremiah, I think it is the famous verse, right? That the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can know it, right? And then it follows on to say that God knows it. But like there's no Bible. I don't know what he's reading. I don't know what he's reading. Probably nothing, I suppose. I don't know. But it's certainly, I don't think it would say that in the Latin Bible, right? This doesn't even make sense. This is incoherent, unbiblical, anti-Christian babble. So, because of that, we can very clearly see why Josh Buice, Dr. Buice, would write, "The Pope is one of many antichrists who have gone out into the world." That is what we see in this post, because that is what we see in this video. And that is what we see in not only this video, but in many, 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 many other videos of this Pope. And honestly, I mean, we could talk at another time about the idea of a pope at all being unbiblical. But this I don't. It would be interesting. It would be an interesting conversation, like an actual, like not try to fight or anything, but an actual conversation with a Roman Catholic person who understands Roman Catholicism. It would be an interesting conversation to talk about this pope particularly, because he's like incredibly unbiblical in tons and tons and tons of things that social matters and things that most conservative Roman Catholic people here in our nation anyway, like they have to be cringing, right? And yet this is supposed to be the infallible heir to Peter's, you know, like I don't understand how you can make those two things work. But anyway, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just me. But it does matter what the Bible says. So I hope this has been helpful somehow. And if not, I don't know. Hopefully I'll see you next time anyway. So bye.